Hello and welcome to the Traybakes and More Cooking channel. I'm Kelly and today I've got another absolute classic for you. These are caramel crumble squares. So yes, you might say it's a caramel square, and it is a caramel square, but the base, as the name implies, it is a little bit more crumbly. But it's also really easy to make. The shortbread layer is very straightforward. Then a nice caramel layer topped off with milk chocolate. It's sweet, it's gooey, it's delicious. Don't call it millionaire shortbread, call this a caramel square for me, please. And it's one of my absolute favourites. Caramel crumble squares. Let's get baking. Right, before we talk ingredients, the usual preparation. We are baking today, so my oven is on and preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 180 degrees centigrade. It's a conventional oven. Adjust your oven if you have a fan-assisted oven. I have prepared my tin, just lined it with a bit of baking parchment. There's caramel in this, there's chocolate in this. It gets sticky, so it's really useful then to be able to lift it out nice and easily. And as for the ingredients for the base, these caramel crumble squares, it's very simple. Just butter. Just regular butter straight from the fridge. You don't need to soften this or anything because you're just going to rub this into the flour. So butter, flour, plain flour, and then some sugar we're going to get to later. First thing to do is to rub the butter into the flour. Just using my fingertips, just rub the pieces of butter until this resembles sort of coarse breadcrumbs. I'm going to stir through the sugar and then press it into the base of the tin. So there you go. Mostly coarse breadcrumbs. You can give it a little bit of a lift there with your fingers, and sometimes if there's any larger lumps of butter, they will rise to the top, or just give your bowl a little bit of a shake. And that will do the same sort of thing. You can see one or two there. They aren't really large, so I'm not going to worry about those too much. So this is the stage you want to get it to. Coarse breadcrumbs, and then stir through the sugar. Now, you can use a spatula or a spoon for this, or you can just keep going with your fingers, which is probably what I'm going to do. Right, so that's it. Butter, flour, sugar. I'm just going to spread this over the base of the tray bake tin. I don't mean to spread it. I'm basically going to sprinkle this over the base of the tray bake tin. Just press it down a little bit. You don't need to press it down too much. You don't need to worry about it too much. And then into the oven. Right, so those crumbs that were in my bowl, I have tipped into the base of my tray bake tin. I've spread it about. I gave it a little shake, push things about. Just use my fingers to press this down a little bit. You don't need to be too precious about it. But just press those crumbs down. This is going to go in the oven now, your preheated oven, for about 20-25 minutes or so until it's golden. Just keep an eye on it, just check it, after 20 minutes and see if it needs a little bit longer. Just until that has cooked, and then we'll take it out, let this cool, and then we'll move on to the caramel layer. Right, so here is the base out of the oven. About 25 minutes for me today. It will start to go golden, it will firm up. You may see a few cracks appearing. Don't panic, don't worry, you're covering this with caramel, nobody will see them. And the base is crumbly. They are caramel crumble squares after all, so the base is quite crumbly. So we're just going to set this aside to cool. You want to let this cool a little bit before you come at it with the caramel. But that's it. So base is done, let's get on with the caramel. The caramel layer for these caramel crumble squares is pretty straightforward too. So we have brown sugar, I have condensed milk, I have butter and golden syrup. I've made this with white sugar as well in the past. Brown sugar gives you an extra depth of flavour, so use that if you can. Don't panic if you don't have brown, use white instead. Anyway, in a saucepan, over a low heat, stir this fairly frequently. You don't want it to catch, you don't want it to burn, you don't want any little bits, darker bits. If it does stick and you get some darker bits, don't worry, it'll still taste good. You could also sieve it and sieve those out, but stir it frequently until it starts to bubble. Now, this is one of those situations where there's probably a temperature it should get to, or there's a length of time you want to cook this for. But the books that I grew up with, the sort of retro recipe books that I am baking from, don't have that sort of thing in it. So you bring this to a simmer. You let it bubble away nicely until it gets rich and gloopy, and give it a couple of minutes bubbling away, and that will be good. And then we're going to pour it over the base. Right, took me about 15 minutes to get to this point. I use a very gentle heat. I stir pretty frequently. Don't leave this unattended. Don't walk away from it. Don't forget about it. You don't want to have to clean up that saucepan afterwards. Anyway, It'll look a bit murky to start with, and then as everything melts and it bubbles for a little bit, it will turn into this beautiful golden caramel color. It will also thicken up. You will see as you put your spoon through the caramel that it will leave a little path that will fill in fairly quickly, but still, it will leave a little pathway there. But anyway, the caramel layer is done. I'm going to pour this over the base and then leave that to cool a little bit more before we put the chocolate on top. Okay, the final layer for these caramel crumble squares is to melt your chocolate for the chocolate topping. You can use milk chocolate, you can use dark chocolate. I'm using milk because I don't like dark chocolate. And there are two ways you can approach this. You can either melt this in the microwave, short bursts in the microwave, stirring fairly frequently, or you put the bowl over a pan of simmering water and you melt it that way. Very gently simmering water, don't let the water touch the chocolate, don't let the water touch the bowl, keep stirring. Chocolate's one of those things that you'll melt it for a little bit in the microwave, you'll look at it and you'll think it's still lumps, then you stir it and you realize, oh no, it's actually melting quite a lot. So just keep an eye on it, as with anything. Keep an eye on it, keep stirring it. This seems to be the mantra for this tray bake is keep an eye on it, don't leave it unattended and keep stirring. But anyway, I'm gonna melt my chocolate, I'm gonna pour it over the caramel. The whole thing is gonna go into the fridge to set and to firm up, and then we'll cut it into squares. Here we go, the chocolate has melted. I've poured it over the caramel layer, and now I'm just going to pop this in the fridge for a couple of hours at least, typically overnight, just to let everything firm up and the chocolate to set, and then you can cut it up into squares, caramel crumble squares. So keep an eye out for more recipes, subscribe to my channel, tell your family and friends, and I'll see you again soon on Tray Bakes and More.